So, question about how to hold it steady. So, the first one is you're sitting and you're not on this. Okay? You're not on that. You're not doing anything, right? I'm not talking about washing the dishes or mowing the lawn and being mindful. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just sitting in your chair or on the couch or on your bed or in the park or wherever, but you're just sitting. Okay, without any distractions or tech or anything. And when you're just sitting, your mind is typically racing. It's typically thinking all kinds of things, all kinds of thoughts, all kinds of ideas, all kinds of ideologies, all kinds of, I can't believe this person said that, the world is like this, blah, blah, right? What you're looking for is you're looking for that space that's right in front of your eyes. Right? When you look into the room or at the sky, right, you're looking at that space. That space before every single thought, before every single conceptualization or ideology or any thought. You're looking for being able to relax into that space as your own mind itself. And you want to be able to breathe into that space and hold that space so clearly that it becomes you, and you know that that's you. And by knowing that that's you and that you're not your name that was added onto you later, etc., then you know that that's what who you're talking to, the other, is also. So there's one shared identity. There's a unity, right? So another core aspect of that is that space isn't changing. That space isn't moving, right? But the furniture in the room sure is changing. This black screen isn't changing, but the content on it, it's changing, right? The thoughts that come up change, right? But the nature of the spaciousness is giving rise to all of those thoughts, is giving rise to all of that content, etc. They are the same thing, but the drama, the war, is being lost in those thoughts, being lost in those ideologies, being lost in the combat and the war against the others, right? And coming home to that unbreakable, unspeakable unity. So you want to learn how to sit in that first. Unshakably sit in that. You just have to, one way to do it is just to practice it. Just remember to practice it. You're just sitting there and you're like, oh yeah, instead of like bing, 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 you're just like, okay. Got it. Yeah. Because that's the same relaxedness that you bring to the second point. The second point, it only works if you have the first point, if you have the relaxedness. It only works at its peak, optimalness. Because even if you're looking at another, but what they say triggers you because you're not relaxed, you still get triggered. And then that triggers them and et cetera, blah, blah, and you're in your ideological war. But if you bring that no thing relaxedness, which is also everything, like that powerful integrating relaxed force, then when you're talking to that quote other, which is yourself, that whatever they say, no matter what ideology, what concept, what idea, whatever they're talking about, it literally does not even touch you. It's so beautiful. It just doesn't stick at all. It just... And it's beautiful because you're the integrating force that understands where they're coming from, what program they're running, what thought they're having, what ideology they're having, but you're not a slave to that, right? You're the mastery of the space giving rise to whatever, right? So that's where you shine in that second one, right? And this also plays into the third one deeply because you're seeing what they're saying also as ideologies, which are bait, right? In many ways. But this also plays to the internet one, which is where it typically happens more, where, you know, you get baited even more. But so when you're looking at others, you're looking at yourself. But this always is enhanced even more with those that trigger you the most. Meaning, if your parent or your child or your, significant other or whatever is the quote one that triggers you the most, that's where this shines the best, right? It shines the best when you hold this space with who triggers you the most. That's why all of the greatest spiritual teachings and traditions and psychologies always say, shamans, healers, transformative coaches, they always say, go to what triggers you the most. Learn how to hold space with what triggers you the most. That's where your task is. That's where the work is. That's where the mastery is, right? So if you can hold this love and singularity while talking to the other that triggers you the most, that's where you're going to feel the greatest catharsis. You'll feel the greatest release. You'll feel the greatest love and care and integration, and you'll be holding and loving, and it'll be very, very powerful and transformative. But that's such a core part, is point number 2, with those that trigger you the most. So clutch. And then also obviously when you're, getting a coffee at the store, you're at the checkout counter, or the waitress or waiter serving or whatever, that's another great opportunity for you to always hold the loving space of seeing no separation. It's just so rich. Everyone can feel it. Everyone can feel it, that integrating force when someone is holding no separation, deep, 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 deep down. Deep, deep, deep down, it can be felt. And when it's felt, it's so relaxing, right? There's no projecting. There's no ideological war. There's always forgiveness. There's always love. There's always deep unity. We're in this together. All that kind of thing. And it can be very tempting in this second point where someone's always trying to generate an enemy, like spouses or partners, or, because you feel like sometimes you're in an ideological war, like I'm right, you're wrong, but making that artificial enemy out of yourself is what exacerbates the dramatic spins. And consciousness, you are a very masochistic infinity, meaning you love generating your own little distorted prisons. You love those little contractions of drama. So by bringing that spaciousness to your most beloveds that trigger you the most, what you're doing is you're foregoing your own ego. You're foregoing your own mask. You're foregoing your own righteousness. You're foregoing your own contracted individual perspective that's interfacing with an other, where you're trying to prove your righteousness, and you're foregoing that for a more holistic, integrated view that can hold both perspectives simultaneously, and that's what relaxes the other. That's what relaxes yourself on the other end. And that happens with all the time. It's physics. It's not anything but physics. It's pure physics. It is literally the physics of reality. The physics of how a singularity interacts with itself is what we've been talking about the last 10 minutes with these topics. And that's mastery, is feeling the physics of this. And just a little bit more on this third one. Much love, live chat. Much love. Good query with this question. It's prompted a nice flow. It's been so good. All right. On how to hold this steady. So, in this third one, seeing everything as ideology, it's like when you're holding the maxed out, zoomed out view, just imagine the world with the vacuum of space around it, like we're familiar with our little conceptualizations. But now you are the vacuum of space around the world, and all of its little nodal points of these 8 billion people are projecting DNA code in various cognitive clusters. Certain cognitive clusters are Republican, certain cognitive clusters are Democrat, certain cognitive clusters identify as Chinese, others identify as Middle Eastern, others identify as American, others identify as an adult or as a child or as a Christian or as a Muslim or whatever, etc. Now, all of those little identity clusters, right, and little DNA codes are being projected into the world sphere, which is like your internet, basically. And your mastery is holding that vacuum space around all of those ideologies fucking each other, right? All those ideologies are fucking each other and talking to each other and trying to populate more mind space, right? And we talked about this a lot on the digital metaphysics episode on the nature of programs, so check that out if you haven't yet. But if you hold that space, it changes the way that you interact with both people and the internet, because anytime that you're listening to someone speak, you can literally see the code that they're speaking. Like, you're watching them like sucking on like Trump's dick or on Kamala's clit, right? And you know that they're doing that because they're projecting that, you know, she's the right one and he's bad, or he's the right one and she's bad, right? But you're seeing it. Like all those words, you're like watching it as code, and you know that the DNA, the code, the programming that is spitting that out. You see like that little super small virus that's nested in there that's spewing out the code through their vocal cords in their mouth box, right? So that's how you can gain tremendous mastery over all conversations that are had about every subject, whether it's political, philosophical, it doesn't matter. Everybody knows there's all those masturbations on free will or determinism, right? Everybody's masturbating on spirituality or science, right? Everyone's sucking out the cum out of all of those dicks, right? Everyone's taking all of that and they're arguing over, this spiritual is better, or this science is better, right? Or simulation is better. Literally, you can see all of those little cum codes flying everywhere, and you hold this vacuum of space around all of them that integrates them all and gives rise to them all. And that's where you find your freedom. That's where you find your self-knowledge. That's where you find yourself. And it feels like home, and it feels like peace, and it feels like mastery, and you feel unfuckwithable. You are literally unfuckwithable. It's the highest form of power imaginable, is the lowest depths of the well inside you.